devastating news, I would say, but I don't think it was unexpected given the time period of the season. Caitlin Clark announced on her social media that she will miss the rest of the season. She captioned it in short, in part. I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with a singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. She was limited to 13 games
This is crazy. The WNBA never wanted to hear the reality that Candace Parker just revealed. The year-long closure of Caitlin Clark is more than simply a blow to Indiana. It's a complete disaster for the league as a whole. And now, rather than becoming quieter, the whispers are becoming louder. What happens if Clark quits the WNBA completely because she's had enough? It isn't paranoid. That is the worst-case situation. The league believed it had more time to address its issues, but the time is up. If Caitlin Clark were to leave the WNBA tomorrow, how would it change? Warning, it would be a complete mess, a mess they are no longer able to ignore. Only 2 years into her professional career, Clark has been formally disabled due to persistent leg and groin ailments. Even in her well-considered public remarks, you can hear the exasperation. Fans are able to read between the lines, even when she is upset. This goes beyond a season that was lost. This is about a league that refused to defend the very star that was keeping it alive, an environment that failed her, and constant pressure.
Limited to 13 games this season, and she hasn't played since July 15th when she suffered a right groin injury in the final minute of the Fever's win versus the Sun right before the All-Star game.
I mean, that's our girl. That's our girl. And I feel like no matter what happened, you have to protect you and you have to protect your career.
Then comes the legend Candace Parker, who is the best person to understand what it's like to drive a body over its breaking point. She didn't mince words. Parker stated unequivocally that Clark made the correct decision ending it. She acknowledged that she paid the price for trying to push through ailments and ignoring warning flags in the latter stages of her own career. She had a very obvious message for Clark. Don't allow the league to intimidate you into jeopardizing your future. Don't do what I did. Prioritize taking care of your body. That is authority-driven wisdom.
There's no reason to force anything. And I feel like her just kind of having that approach of doing what's best for her is all we can ask for, because we'd rather Caitlin sit out and then come back next season and we're ready to roll and we're ready to rock. And so we've just been supporting her and she's been supporting us. She's always there. We're getting to watch film and she's in there walking through saying, hey, and we're like, get out, go do what you need to do. But I mean, she's still the same. And I feel like our approach, because we've been missing her for so long, is just to come in and compete, and we have a good rhythm, I think, with everyone that's came in, and so just keeping that as our main focus.
Here's the larger problem, though. This goes beyond Clark's health. The future of the WNBA is in jeopardy because of this. Because of her, attendance, TV ratings, and jersey sales all increased dramatically. She brought the entire league into the spotlight, not just the Fever. As executives rush to cover up this catastrophe, the WNBA's one bright spot is now sitting on the sidelines in street clothes. This is the obvious, scary question. Suppose Clark declares, I'm done. What happens if she decides that her future, her body, and her profession are more important than destroying herself for a league that won't call the foul when she's pushed across the court? There would be nuclear fallout. Fans didn't show up because they suddenly cared about the WNBA brand. Let's face it. They cared about Clark, so they came. They purchased tickets for her. Her jersey was worn by them. Her highlights drew their attention. The arena will be deserted overnight if she is removed. Live streaming and half-full gyms are back in style. And 01 clicks. Remember, this was preventable. BY declining to defend her. The league had already thrown the dice. Every game became a fight. Defenders shoved her in midair, elbowed her, and hip-checked her. IT resembled hockey more than basketball. The referees put their whistles away. Everyone in Angelbert's office assumed it was merely physical play, and the workplace remained silent. The golden goose that produces all of those golden eggs is now gone for the year. Well done, WNBA. Outstanding effort.
I had said that they were hopeful that Clark would return by the end of the regular season, but Caitlin was unable to fully reincorporate back into practice. And, she had never missed a game in her collegiate career or first year in the WNBA. So this is definitely a blow, I'm sure, for the organization, but also for her. Fever went 8-5 and Clark played, and 15-15 without her. You all did win the Commissioner's Cup for the first time in franchise history without her, so maybe that is also another precursor. But big picture from the outside looking in, I have been a player that has had a number of injuries.
Parker can see it clearly. Basketball in the playoffs is not only difficult, but also cruel, harder, faster, and nastier. This is the worst time to try to get a celebrity to recover from an injury. The WNBA wanted a Ferrari, but you don't bring one to a demolition derby. In an attempt to gain a few extra ratings points, Clark is limping around. That's not leadership. It's desperation. The problem is that Clark is aware of her true power. The WNBA is not necessary for her. She is essential to the WNBA. Even if she were to quit tomorrow, she would still have a lot of options, including international ball, endorsements, broadcasting, and even launching her own company. In the meantime, the NBA has supported the league for years as a charity case. Because of Clark, the WNBA experienced its largest growth spurt after decades of trying to make an impression. They went farther than all of Angelbert's lectures put together thanks to one athlete who is just entering her sophomore season. The quit the league discussion feels so genuine because of this. It's already being said aloud by fans that I won't watch if Clark isn't playing. That is devotion to her rather than the league. They will walk if she does. And that is the appearance of sudden regret.
And taking the time, and there is a difference in being a role player and coming in and playing a role and coming in off of an injury. There is a rhythm, but when you are Caitlin Clark and you have the ball in your hands and you are on the other team's scouting report, to come in half and not be able to be in that amount of, I would say, rhythm of the game, because the rhythm of the game changes towards the end of the year. And so when it started getting closer to the end of the regular season, I was like, it's dangerous to come back during playoff basketball because the whole flow, the physicality, all of that is different. And so I know it's difficult to kind of take time and understand the big picture, especially when you're living with tunnel vision and you work so hard to get to where you're at, but it's the smart thing. And I'm proud of this generation for taking the time they need, looking at the bigger picture, and making sure that they get healthy. So, Caitlin Clark, hope you feel better. You have a great offseason and you come back.
Candace Parker should be commended for voicing the necessary opinions. She wasn't merely giving Clark advice. She was subtly urging the WNBA to treat its players with dignity. Don't run them into the ground anymore. Don't push them back too quickly. Clark is more than a rotation player. Every scouting report highlights her as a player in red. She has no business being out there if she isn't feeling her best. Parker practically cheered her on for seeing the fact before it was too late. Here's the twist. Though this is about trust as much as health, Clark put his all into the game. She even claimed that she was fighting back in recovery for hours on end. Her remarks were filled with anguish. However, she failed to acknowledge the league, the referees, or the leadership when it was time to express gratitude. She expressed gratitude to her teammates and supporters for a period. That's telling. For her, the fans turned out. The league didn't. The door is now open to all of the Clark may walk away conversations because of this. She has already discovered the hard way that she will not be protected by the WNBA. Why would you continue to play a rigged game? Consider what would happen if Caitlin Clark decided to leave the WNBA if you truly want to make the connection. She would be highly sought after by other leagues and investors. Clark could play fewer games, receive tax-free money, and let's face it, get whistles from officials if she played in Europe. Or imagine her giving up basketball completely and dedicating her time to media ownership, broadcasting endorsements, or nil-style ventures that benefit the future generation. She has the potential to create an empire that surpasses the WNBA, as the league and the savior they wasted flourished without them. They would be left grasping their regrets. Here's the problem, though. The Clark saga is not taking place in a vacuum. This is nothing new for the WNBA. They have experienced both stars and issues, frequently for all the wrong reasons. Angel Reese made headlines. Players voiced their dissatisfaction with poor facilities, pay, and travel circumstances. This annoying almost there, but not quite. State has always surrounded the league. Fans flocked to see Clark when he made his debut. For a minute, it appeared as though all of the previous issues had suddenly disappeared. However, as soon as Clark was injured, The illusion was destroyed, the curtain came down, and everyone was confronted with the same old WNBA problems. This is when Candace Parker's voice is most noticeable. She has previously experienced this. She acknowledged that she neglected injuries, overexerted her body, and paid a heavy price for it during her own career. As a retired legend, she is essentially raising a red flag at this point. Don't make the same mistakes I did. The league hasn't learned anything, as evidenced by the fact that she even needs to say this. What do you think the league will do next? Issue a sterilized press statement regarding Caitlyn's recuperation or player safety. Fans are able to see through that. On the court, they witnessed her being beaten. They observed referees gulping down whistles. They watched as Clark hobbled through games and the league leadership remained silent. That cannot be fixed by a statement. For this reason, it is hardly a pipe dream that Clark will quit the WNBA. That's a real possibility, and the consequences will be disastrous if that occurs. All of those record-breaking ticket sales, merchandise sales, and social media highlight reels vanished in an instant. The league would immediately return to being irrelevant and beg for slivers of airtime from networks. Perhaps it would take such humiliation to wake up the WNBA. Don't rely on it, though, given its past. Treating Clark like the celebrity she is the best way to prevent that train crash. This entails defending her on the court rather than only showcasing her on posters. Fair officiating is required. Caitlin Clark's situation highlights a bigger issue in the WNBA. While the league profits from its stars, it fails to protect them. Despite media pressure, sponsorships, and playoff hype, Clark chose to prioritize her long-term health, a move supported by legends like Candace Parker. Fans, who bought tickets months in advance and filled arenas, are now questioning their loyalty. Why watch if Clark isn't playing? This isn't just another headline, it's a warning. The WNBA finally got its superstar, but if it continues to ignore the signs and fails to support its top talent, it risks losing not just Clark, but its future. If you agree or have thoughts, drop a comment below, like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more updates.